Good morning to all of you. In the last class, we have tried to understand what is biodiversity, classification principles, and binomial nomenclature. So, after having studied all these, let's move on to the uh, study of different phylum. Already, Dr. Bhatt and Madam must have finished Protozoa, Porifera, uh, and even Madam must have started Platyhelminthes also. In between, there is one phylum which I have to discuss with you, that is the Coelenterata or Cnidaria. Today, we are going to discuss about this Coelenterata or the Cnidarians. They are the synonymous terms. So, uh, 1 minute. ಈಗ ನಾನು
ಈಗ
ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು
ನಾನು
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ
ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು
ಇತ್ತಾ
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ
ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು?
ಇತ್ತ ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು
ಹೇಳಿ,
ಹೇಳಿ
ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು
ನಾನು
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ
ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು
ಇತ್ತಾ?
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತ
ಹಲೋ,
ಹಲೋ
ಯಾರು?
ಯಾರು
ಹಲೋ,
ಹಲೋ
ಹೇಳಿ.
ಹೇಳಿ
ಏನ್
ಏನ್
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ
ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ಇತ್ತ ಇಲ್ವಾ
ಹೇಳ್ರಿ. ಕೀರ್ತಿ, ಹೇಳು ನೀನು. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ?
ಕೀರ್ತಿ ನೀನು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ
ಆ?
ಇತ್ತ
ಆ?
ಆ?
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತ
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ ಅವಾಗ? ಈಗಲ್ಲ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಇಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತ ಅವಾಗ ಈಗಲ್ಲ
ಅವಾಗ ಇಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ?
ಅವಾಗ ಇಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ
Okay, let me continue. So today we are going to discuss about the phylum Cnidaria or Coelenterata. So this phylum Cnidaria or Coelenterata is one of the wonderful family in the among the invertebrates. Actually, the Coelenterata is an old term. Now mostly we use the term Cnidaria for the coelentrates. So this includes about 9,000 known species. Even there must be much more than this 9,000. But as far as our information is concerned, right now we know about 9,000 species, and only few of them are found in fresh water, but majority of them are marine organisms. The Coelenterata, it's a Greek term. Actually, the literary meaning is koilos or silos means hollow. Enteron means gut. The organisms which are having uh, hollow gut are known as coelentrates. Uh, for the they are very important because they are eumetazoans. Uh, the speciality of this one, this animal takes its name from the large cavity in the body, and that large cavity itself serve as an intestine. Probably you will be more clear if I give you few examples like hydra, jellyfishes, sea anemones, and the corals which are found in the oceans all belong to this particular phylum. And this is the one which are showing the radial symmetry. Radial symmetry. But from this coelentrates, all other organisms will start showing biradial or bilateral symmetry. Here, the symmetry is radial. They are diploblastic in the sense the body wall is made up of only two layers, outer ectoderm and inner endoderm. All animals except the sponges, we call it as eumetazoans, the animal with true tissues. Here, for the first time, you can see the tissue grade of organization. That's why we consider this as the most advanced organism over the poriferans. You know, though the poriferans were multicellular organisms, the body is made out of number of cells, but still each cell used to function independently. But whereas in the phylum Cnidaria or Coelenterata, they are the true tissue true tissue grade of organization. What is tissue? Tissue is nothing but the group of cells having common origin, common structure, and common function. So, this tissue grade of organization is seen for the first time among the phylum Cnidarians. So that's why they are considered as they are advanced over poriferans. So this is one of the oldest group in course of evolution. If you think they are one of the oldest group where you can see the some of the fossils as old as 700 million years back has been traced. So this is one of the oldest group. Uh, the fossils. Fossils means the remnants of the organisms which remained in the remote past. So their fossils which were collected dates back to 700 million years back. So undoubtedly we can say that this phylum Coelenterata is or was evolved even before 700 million years back. So now we should know the important characteristic feature of this phylum Cnidaria or Coelenterata. Then we should move on to the classification and the study of example. The Cnidarians have radial symmetry. This is a very interesting feature where they exhibit radial symmetry, and they have a gastrovascular cavity, large sac-like thing, open entron, gastrovascular cavity. Though by having the gastrovascular cavity, the digestion is extracellular. Digestion happens in the gut, open gut, large gut, the gastrovascular cavity, and the digested food is being absorbed into the cells. So that's why it is extracellular digestion. But whereas in case of the protozoans and poriferans, you have seen the digestion is intracellular within the cell. And true tissue grade of organization where the tissues are derived from two embryonic germ layers. One is the ectoderm and another one being the endoderm. Another special name, why they are called as Cnidarians? They are called as Cnidarians because they possess cnidocytes or cnidoblasts. Cnidoblasts or cnidocytes are the specialized stinging cells. The spell with stinging organelle in that. Cnidocytes or cnidoblasts are the cells. And within that, they have some stinging structures or organelle that is called as nematocyst. So that's why they are called as cnidarians because they possess cnidocytes or cnidoblasts which are equipped with the stinging organelle that is the nematocyst. See here, this phylum Cnidaria, they are much diversified into a wide range. In the sense, some of them are sessile, some of them are floating form. Sessile means fixed; they are attached. The floating means they are free floating; they can swim. For example, the sessile form includes the most common hydra, or the floating forms or uh, swimming forms are the sea jellies. All are they are floating. They exhibit another very important feature and interesting feature is the polymorphism. What do you mean by this polymorphism? Poly means many. Morpha means external appearance. Polymorphism refers to the animals which are exhibiting more than one form, physical form. They are called as polymorphic forms. And this particular process is known as polymorphism. In the sense, the same organism, same species may exist as polyp or medusa or both during their life cycle. So, what is this polymorphs? Sometimes it is very difficult to believe they belong to the same species. Uh, I can give you one example, most common, which all of you must have seen. All of you might have seen the ant trails. ಏನು ಇರುವೆ ನೋಡಿದಿರಲ್ಲ, ant trails. So you closely observe. There are 3 4 different types of ants you can see. Some are larger ones, some are very small, some are with mandibles. But remember, though they are found in more than one form, shape, and size, all of them belongs to the same species. That is polymorphism. That is polymorphic. Here also, the cnidarians or coelentrates, they appear in more than one form. Here I have shown you two forms. One is the medusa form, and another one is the polyp form. Actually, here the polyp stage or polypoid stage is a fixed stage, sessile. They are always attached. Whereas the medusa form, they are free floating and swimming. So both the forms are available within a species. In a life cycle, you can see sometime a same animal may be like this medusa form, and sometime it may be like this the polyp form. So this is what is known as the polymorphism. Another very interesting feature of these cnidarians is basic body plan. The cnidarians have a sac-like central digestive compartment. Sac ಏನು ಒಂಥರ ಚೀಲ ಇದ್ದಾಗಿದೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ, sac like central digestive compartment, and that is known as gastrovascular cavity with a single opening. Only mouth is there, no anus, or whatever the opening that is seen is a single opening which function as both mouth as anus. So there is no separate anus. There is only one opening through which food intake takes place, and at the same opening the undigested food materials are also ejected out. So they have a single opening. So these cnidarians have two layers. So that's why they are called as diploblastic. See here, outer epidermis and inner endodermis. Here it is known as gastrodermis. In between epidermis and gastrodermis, there is a jelly-like mesoglea in between. Outer epidermis, you can make see by the cursor. Outer epidermis, inner gastrodermis. This is gastrodermis, but in between this there is a jelly-like mesoglea. In other words, a jelly-like mesoglea is sandwiched between outer epidermis and inner gastrodermis. So that's why they are truly diploblastic in nature. They are truly diploblastic in nature. See, this is the body wall, and this body wall and the epidermal layer, you can see this is the external surface of the body. This is epitheliomuscular cells are there, below which there are many neurosensory cells, the cells of the so-called nerves, and even the nerve cells are also there. And basically there's a myofibril layer, epitheliomuscular cell base having contractile myofibrils. This is the cross section of the body wall. If you take reproduction, very very interesting here. Reproduction is takes place both by polyp as well as the medusae. Polyps reproduces asexually. This is the polyp stage. See, this is an attached form. Polyp stage. This is also a polyp stage, which is again attached. They undertake the reproduction asexually. How? By budding. See, this is a bud. A growth will be there, and then it detaches and fixes somewhere. And so that a new individual has been formed. Or it can be by fission. Directly they break into two and becomes two individuals. Or sometimes it may be pedal laceration. Pedal, this is the pedal disc through which it attaches. So this pedal disc slowly moves, leaving a small part, and that grows into another polyp. So that's why the polyps reproduce by asexually, by budding, fission, or pedal laceration. Whereas the medusa reproduces sexually. Remember, polyp reproduces asexually either by budding or by other means, and the medusa reproduces by the sexually. That means they produce the gametes. They produce the gamete. And a zygote usually develops. What is zygote? When the male and female, when the male and female gametes unite, then we call it as the gastrula. So this gastrula, it is called as zygote, and this zygote then develops into what is known as a swimming larva known as planula larva. Remember, I am repeating again, medusa is sexual form which reproduces sexually by producing the gametes, both male and female gametes. And these gametes unite to form what is called as zygote. This zygote develops into a larva. What is larva? Larva is nothing but the intermediate in between egg and the adult. The intermediate form between the egg and the adult, we call it as larva. All of you might have seen the tadpoles of the frog. Tadpole of the frog is nothing but the larva of the frog. So like that here, for this Coelentrates or Nidaria, they have a larva, and that is known as planula larva, which is motile, which can move. And some species may exist only as polyps, some may be only polyps, whereas in some they show alternation of generation between the two, medusa and the polyp. See here, this is a polyp. This is a polyp. Even this is polyp. Is the obelia colony, and from here the what you call they produce this will produce asexually. Asexually, they will produce the what is known as the medusae, and this medusae produces the eggs. This produces eggs, and this produces sperm. Two gametes they fuse. Zygote. Zygote develops into a free swimming planula larva, and this planula larva settles on the ground as a polyp, and then they develop and they reproduces asexually. So this entire this up to here it is asexual reproduction, that is the medusoid form. But once it come the polypoid form, once it come to the medusoid form, which is free swimming, this shows sexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction, they produce the medusae, and medusae by sexual reproduction produces the polyp. Alternation of generation. A, a polyp cannot reproduce sexually. They will produce medusae by asexual method, and medusae reproduces by sexual method. They see the medusae are producing this egg and sperm, and when they fuse, zygote is formed. That is going to develop into a polyp, not again the medusae. Medusae cannot produce medusae. Medusae produces the polyps, and polyps produces the medusae. Polyp produces the medusae by asexually, and medusae produces the polyp sexually. This is what is known as alternation between two. In one generation, there will be polyp, and they give rise to medusae. Medusae give birth to polyp. Now the question is how this can undertake the feeding. All cnidarians are carnivores because they are provided with the tentacles surrounding the so-called opening, what is known as mouth. Mouth is surrounded by tentacles, and these tentacles are used for catching the prey. because these tentacles are armed with the nidocytes or nidoblasts, uh, on which you can expect the stinging cells, nematosis. These are the stinging cells. See, the tentacles on that, the stinging cells are there. On that, uh, they have an organelle, what is known as the stinging cells. So these tentacles, they catch the prey, and when these nidoblast cells sing, sting them or bites them, the prey gets paralyzed, and tentacles collect them and push that into their mouth. So these are the nidocytes. By having nematosis, are both defense. One is protect them from the predators, and second thing is even it is used for capturing the prey. See, this is one enlarged nidocyte, and in the nidocyte there is a separate organ, that is the nematocyst discharge. This is the stinging one. Usually, when it's taking rest, see, the filaments are coiled, but when they are excited, they will be like a whip, and they can sting the prey or the predator which approach them. Nematocysts, they have some toxins. Toxin means poisons. This nematocyst can inject that poison into the prey. The nematocysts will be of various forms. Various shapes are possible, and it is used for both capturing the prey as well as defense, for protecting them. Once the tentacles push the prey into the mouth, extracellular digestion begins in the digestive cavity. Uh, because in the digestive cavity there are many enzymes, and this gets completed within, and then in the gastrovascular cavity the digestion happens, not total digestion or full digestion. Most of the digestion happens outside the cell in the gastrovascular cavity, and then that has been absorbed by the cell, where it is completed within the cells of gastrodermis. That's why it is known as extracellular digestion, because most of the digestion happens in the gut or in the gastrovascular cavity. Even some of the cnidarians supplement their diet. Diet is the prey, they are carnivores, but they also get the nutrients from algal symbiosis. What is symbiosis? It's a mutualism. It's where two living beings are associated. Especially in many of these cnidarians, they are having another algae, what is known as zooxanthella. This zooxanthella here you can see that they are always associate with many of the cnidarians, especially the corals. So they also provide nutrients to the animal. In turn, animal provides them shelter. So that's why it's a symbiotic association or mutual association. Both are benefited. The algae gets the space to survive, or they get the space to dwell, whereas the for the algae they get the place to dwell, and for the animal they get nutrition from this algal symbiont. Even these cnidarians have very diffuse nervous system. I don't know how far it is right to call it as a nervous system, but very primitive type. Or we can say that there appears a diffuse nerve network instead of using the term system, we can say that it is a nerve network, very diffuse. Uh, these nerve cells, they are interconnected in the nerve nets of both epidermis as well as gastrodermis. But there is no concentrated grouping of nerve cells to form the central nervous system or any other thing. So that's why I have told you how far we are right in using the term nervous system, but it is not a system, it is nothing but a diffused nerve network. Then the central nervous system has no role to play here. There is no nervous system. Now, to summarize all the characters of these cnidarians, once again, one is they are all aquatic organisms, no land organisms, no terrestrial organisms. All of them are aquatic. Mostly they are marine, and a few are freshwater. Freshwater means sweet water. Sea ನೀರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. But most of them are marine. And for the first time, as I have told you, they exhibit tissue grade of organization. Tissues are the group of cells having common origin, common structure, and common function. No organs or organ system. So, by having tissue grade of organization, we can say that these are the groups which are evolved over the poriferans. They are diploblastic. There are two layers, outer ectoderm and inner gastroderm or endoderm. In between, there's a non-cellular mesoglia in between. Radial symmetry with oral and aboral ends. No definite head here. The central cavity or gut entron is called gastrovascular cavity, which has only one opening. Either you can call it as mouth or anus because functions are carried out. The functions of mouth and anus both are carried out by the same opening. So that's why you can say anus is absent, only mouth. Digestion is mostly extracellular and partly intracellular. This semi-digested food being absorbed and gets digested in the cell. For the first time in the animal evolution, you can see the extracellular digestion. Then presence of stinging cells or nidoblasts in the ectoderm. These nidoblasts are having already I've seen the structure. They possess a capsule called nematocyst which contains the toxin or poisonous fluid. These nidoblast cells are used as a defensive cells used to kill or paralyze the prey and other enemies. Also helps in food capture. They are acoelomate. There is no coelom. There is no separation between digestive cavity and general body wall. There's only one space. No coelom. Respiration, excretion, everything happens by diffusion through the general body surface. Through the general body surface. There is no special tissue meant for respiration or or excretion. Nervous system, if you call it primitive, and it is having only a network of nerve cells and fibers which are having a network all over the body. Reproduction among these animals is both sexual as well as asexual. Usually, the fertilized eggs may develop into a larva called planula larva, which is a free swimming, and the planula larva gives birth to the polyps. Polyps reproduces medusa. Polyps reproduces by asexual means and medusae reproduces by sexual means. And alternation of generation is also known as metagenesis. That is found in the life history. That is asexual polyps generation followed by sexual medusoid generation. Asexual polypoid generation followed by sexual medusoid generation. This is known as alternation of generation. One sexual generation, next generation will be asexual, and the third generation will be again sexual. So like that it continues. So that's why it is said that Cnidarians have two types of body form, polyps and medusa. That's the reason why Cnidarians are said to possess the show the polymorphism. They appear, their body form appear in more than one form, polyp and medusa. Polyp is always cylindrical and sessile, fixed form, and they represent asexual stage. Medusa, as you have already seen, they are having umbrella shaped structure and they are free swimming forms. And this medusa and polyps together show the phenomenon of polymorphism. That is presence of two or more morphological different types of the individuals present in the colony of the same species. They all belong to same species, but structurally they are different. The different individuals here they are also called as zooids. Different individuals they are called as zooids. Division of labor. What do you mean by division of labor? Some part of their body carrying one work, another part carrying another work, like that, where the distribution of the work, where the division of the work, we call it a division of labor, is seen in the colony, because many of these, especially the polypoid stage, they form colonies. And division of labor is seen in the colony because colony has different types of zooids, different individuals, and each zooid is skilled enough to perform some specific function. Some of the zooids are meant for reproduction, some of the zooids are meant for food catching, some of the zooids are meant for digestion. In the entire colony, there's a division of labor. A good example will be Physalia, Obelia, Helistema are the good example for these polymorphic colonies. These are the important general characters of the cylinders or Cnidaria. Now, why we should study this cylinders? Yeah, you may say that it is prescribed in your syllabus and there will be questions asked for this in the examination. For that matter, you have to study. Facing the examination and answering is a part of your course. But before that, what is the importance of this studying these different organisms, phylum? Once you know their importance, naturally the students will develop some interest, because we don't do anything if it is not useful to us or harmful to us. So that's why the cylinders are important for us. Many times we ignore the importance of these cylinders, though many of the members of the phylum Nidaria are actually very, very important to human beings. Economic importance, especially belonging to one class of this phylum Nidaria, that is Anthozoa class. Scientists have discovered many chemical compounds in Nidarians, and these chemical compounds are being used to treat cancer and other illnesses. So, from these cylinders, we can extract lot of chemicals which are having pharmaceutical value or clinical value. That's why they become important. Then all corals, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹವಳದ ದ್ವೀಪಗಳು ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ನೀವು, all species of corals are nidarians. These corals are considered as the rainforest of the ocean because they are found in the ocean. Why they are called as forest of the ocean? Because on the land, rainforests have the maximum biodiversity and they sustain, protect, nurture lot of other organisms within them. The same and the rainforests have highest primary productivity on the land. Same thing can be observed in the coral reefs of the ocean. That's why they are considered as the rainforests of the ocean. They these corals are very important because they protect or provide habitat for huge number of commercially important fishes, crustaceans, other invertebrates, algae, seaweeds, and more. These corals are the nursery ground for many of the fishes. This is the ecological value of these coral reefs. These coral reefs also have huge economic impact because wherever it attracts lot of tourists, people go for snorkeling, diving, and other activities to see the beautiful colored corals. It attracts lot of tourists. So very close to us, you might have heard that it's a Netrani Island in near Honavar, Kasargod. Surrounding this island, there's a coral reefs. Lot of tourists go there and uh, they undertake deep water diving, snorkeling, and uh, they can have a fascinating look of these beautiful corals there. So all over the world, yes, so many coral reefs are there, and it is always flooded with tourists, and it brings lot of economic activities. And corals are many of the corals are precious. All of especially the girls prefer to wear the necklace made out of these corals in Hawala. So they are worldwide trade in the for either keeping in them some of them in aquarium or in the jewelry. As a result of that, we have actually causing destruction to these resources. Even these nidarians are important part of the food chain. Though we human beings may not eat the corals, these nidarians directly, but they reach us through the food chain. Lot of large commercially important fishes, prawns, they feed on these cylindrids. All of you know that in an ecosystem, all organisms are held in the form of a chain or a web, what you call food chain or web. So if we Here also there are many fishes, crabs, crustaceans which feed on these cylinders. These are all the beneficial effects of the cylinders. Even there are some negative economic impact is also there, but very rare, and negative impact is very minimal. Sometimes it happens because of the jellyfish swarms in the beaches. Sometimes large school of jellyfishes come to the shore, and if you happen to step on them, they will bite, and immediately there will be toxins are entered into your body, and thereby it may cause irritation, itching, and all those things. Sometimes these jellyfishes, they will form a very big group, swarm, and when the fishermen put the net gets clogged by these jellyfishes, which have no commercial value, market value, costing them time and money. Even sometimes the jellyfishes sting may be fatal also. There are certain jellyfishes which have very strong poison, and if they bite, even death may occur. But generally, it doesn't happen. But under some exceptional cases, even the death may happen. So this is an important overview of this phylum Coelenterata or Nidaria. Now let's move on to the classification. Phylum Nidaria is divided into four major classes. Generally it is three, but some call it as four. What are those? Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa, and Enthozoa. These are the three major classes. And one more class, that is the Cubozoa, is also included in that. Even a fifth class, Staurozoa, has been proposed, but till now taxonomists have not agreed upon to the fifth class. Generally, in most of the books, if you see, they will give you only three classes: Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa, and Enthozoa. Recently, they have added one more class, that is the Cubozoa. There is also a pressure to put one more class, the fifth class, Staurozoa, but till now it has not been accepted. So that's why first let's know about this in brief. We are not going to study much about this. The Staurozoa, the fifth class. Here there is no medusa in the life cycle, only polyp. But the medusa, the polyp is having a medusa-like region on its head. So that's why it is in between medusa and polyp. Actually, there is no medusa; it is a polyp. On the head, there appears to be a structure which resembles the medusa. So that's why they are commonly called as staromedusans. No medusa stage. Solitary, a photograph I have also shown, solitary polyp body that is stalked with the help of the adhesive disc. They attach to the seaweeds on the sea bottom. See, here the polyp top resembles like a umbrella shaped structure medusa with 8 extensions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 extensions you can see, arm like things. And these are ending in tentacle clusters. Here in the center there is a mouth. And this reproduces sexually. So that's why it is a in between medusa and polyp. That's why I have told you. That is Taurozoa. Till now, it has not fully accepted by all the taxonomists. Some agree, some do not agree. Okay. For your information, even we have discussed. I have told you the three classes are very important: hydrozoa, enthozoa, and scyphozoa. To some extent, the fourth one, cubozoa also. First, let's see hydrozoa. First class is the hydrozoa, where hydrozoans are variable forms. They are mostly marine, mostly, not exclusively. Usually they form colonies. In the second photograph, you can see the colony. Sometimes they may be solitary, as you see in the first photograph. Most hydrozoans exhibit alternation between polyp and medusae. Most of them. But still, some have only polyps, some are only in medusoid form. But most of them exhibit polymorphism. Both medusae and polyp stage is seen here. See here, this is the polyp stage, and then they are also have this is the medusa form. So typical hydrozoans have a base, a stalk, and one more terminal called zooid. This is the base, this is the stalk, and these are called as the zooids. Individual polyp animals. See here also, this is the base is not seen here, but this is the stalk, and at the terminal end, they have the terminal zooids. The speciality is they are thicket. There's a presence of protective cup around the polyps. See, this is the polyps, individual zooids, and they are covered externally by a protective cup. A good example is Obelia. Even few of them are earthicate. There is no such protection. You can see in Euplectala, there is no cup-shaped structure. Here it is there. Even hydroid medusae are usually smaller. The medusoid form of the hydrozoa, they are smaller when compared to the members of other class. The gastrovascular cavity, which you can see here, is continuous from mouth to tentacles, and they are internally lined by gastrodermis, and they form bell-shaped structures. Can you make out? And there is an inward projection, like a frill, that is known as velum. On the margin of this bell-shaped structure, there's an inward projection, like the frill, and that is known as the velum. A medusa has certain specialized organs, like statocysts. Statocysts are the ones which help to maintain the equilibrium during the swimming. Then even they have some cells known as ocelli, which are sensitive to light. See, this is the cross section of a medusa. This is the see this inner this thing, that is what we call velum, and see this is the velum inward projection, and these are the tentacles, and in between the tentacles, can you make out here, they are the statocysts which help in maintaining the equilibrium. So the members of one order of this hydrozoa, such as Portuguese man of war, they have a polyp, see like this polyp, and the polyps are of different types. They are reproductive polyps, feeding polyps, like that. That's the zooids, what we call. Even there are members which resemble the true corals. Corals are actual true corals are not from hydrozoa. That is belong to some other class of the coelenterate. These hydrocorals resemble true corals and they are called hydrocorals. They are also calcareous skeleton. The skeleton is made up of calcareous material, calcium carbonate material, like fire coral. So this is about the uh, important characters and one classification, that is hydrozoa. And ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ? Hello.